Alrighty, this is the subject of this painting video. I'm going to be showing you how to get this on your cake. This actually is a picture I just got off the internet. I don't even know what it was from. So I'm going to be showing you how to get this on a cake and how to paint this. So this is the image here. And then I always have a picture, and here in Georgia we have a lot of these. Basically I say it's a daylily. It's mostly, a lot of them are in orange and yellow. They're really pretty. So I like to have a picture of what I'm doing so I can see the colors that are going to be involved. And that is the daylily. And obviously here is a similar, just an outline that I have. Picture of the lily that I just showed you, and I have used a small tip permanent marker and put it on a piece of this transparency, and now I'm going to show you how I'm going to get that onto the cake. And just excuse my kitchen. I have a very small kitchen, and I'm using the counter here that's easiest to use. This is the little projector that I made, and I did another video of it, and I put it on YouTube and my Facebook page. I'll go back and go through that, but anyway, showing you how to get this image on to your cake. So as you can see, I have the little transparency that I did right here in this little frame. Okay, then the light is here clipped up on my cabinet, and you just have to you adjust this here, and you adjust the light to so where you can see the image here on your cake. And basically I'm using a very small paintbrush, which is, it's about had it, but it's my favorite one to use. It's very small, fine tip. The color, I use it straight out of the bottle. This is a little plate. I've got black. I have orange here. Then there's yellow and red. And those are the colors that we're going to use for this lily that we're going to do. Anyway, you can use the little projector or a projector or whatever you have to transfer it. I'm working on some other ways that might work, that might be a little easier. There's lots of ways on the internet. I'm not particularly fond of using certain things on it, but anyway, so basically I'm going to show how I paint this, and I'm going to this is the little one I printed off the internet, and I put it on the little transparency, but for the sake of this video I'm just going to do it like I normally do it, which is basically freehand. But if you're interested, I can show more of doing the projection with a little homemade projector that I put together. It's much cheaper than the ones that you can buy. Okay, here are the colors we're using. There's black here, there's orange, there's yellow, and there's red. And they look really runny, and which they are. And I usually just dip my brush in some water and blot it. And then I'm going to go straight into the black food color, just like this. And you see how runny it is? It's pretty, it's just really liquidy. That's not a word, but anyway, it's very runny. I'm just loading it up really good on my brush. And the really important step is to blot it on a piece of a napkin, because you see how there's so much color in there. Really, you don't need that much because we're just doing a little sketch. So you want to blot that off, and then if you're using the projector, then you would go ahead and start on it. I'm going to do it right here in the middle, and I'm just going to kind of freehand, do a little bit of a freehand lily here, and I use this brush. Some people might prefer to use a little edible marker, and you can do that too. It's just up to you, however you prefer to do it. I'm used to doing it this way. If you're interested in seeing more of the projector and how that works, then I'll do some more of that. But generally, I don't do it myself, although I usually can just draw freehand, but most people are not going to be able to just do it. A lot of people are not. And so you can do it with a projector if you need to, basically. So, and usually when I do it, it does not look exactly like the picture, because basically I just use it as kind of like a reference. See there, my color's running out. I'm going to dip it in there some more. And there again, I'm going to blot it on the paper because it's way too much on there. Okay, and I'm going to continue to just get this little image in here. Really, it takes a real soft touch, and my hand can be very shaky, but actually it's pretty forgiving. You can actually do a lot of corrections, so. And right here, I'm constantly going back and forth and looking at the picture that I'm holding in my other hand, just to kind of get a little bit of a reference of what I'm doing. And I don't really use it, exactly, either one of the references, either the photo or the sketch, whatever. I just use it just to help me out a little bit to get it where I want it to be. And as you've noticed probably, I haven't really gone back and gotten any more color on my brush because really it just doesn't take a whole lot. You can do a lot with just a little bit of color on your brush. And this right here, this fondant has sat since last night, set out, and so it's pretty firm right now. Can't do two things at once. I'm trying to sketch this out. Like I said, I don't use the picture to be exact. I just do the best I can, and really, if you think about it, when you're doing this, nobody's going to have your picture to look at to say, oh, you missed this or that, because they're not going to have it. So, you don't have to really worry about that. just like anything, it takes a little bit of practice, and I've been doing it for a good little while. Of course, you can turn it however you need to. And then see, once I've gone over this, it's a little bit damp on some spots, but most of the areas are dry where you could actually rub your finger and it's not going to smear it. So that's the thing. See, there's just so little color in the brush that if you go back over, you're not even going to smear that because it's already dry. So, you know, that's perfectly good. Okay, there is a little stalk that comes down into it, and then I'm just going to do some little blades of grass or whatever. I'm not sure what this is supposed to be on this sketch, but anyway, this is basically what it looks like, and you just want to put a few around like this. Just like that. And then there's a little bit of a piece off of here. Like that. And there's your sketch, basically. That's pretty much the sketch you're going to use to do your work. Painting process, we have the cake here with a sketch. I have my reference photo here showing me what colors kind of go where. And as you can see, my colors have kind of all run together, but that's okay. I dip my brush into some water and kind of blot it off. I'm going to pick up some yellow first because that's the lighter color in here. And as you can see, the yellow kind of comes in the middle and it goes up on the petals. And then there's a little under the sides of those, but this really doesn't have much of that. So basically I would just start by putting some yellow right in here. Very carefully. You don't want to get it on here because these are a little bit of a different color. You're going to keep on doing it down in here. Going to put all the yellow, just block it in. If you get a little bit of the black mixes in with it, it's not really any big deal. It's not a big problem. So as you can see, I'm just going to bring the yellow up, and then I'm going to go back, get a little bit more, and kind of come out on this one too, just like that. Here, and just sort of randomly put it in there. You can see on the flower that the yellow just kind of comes out just in different spots. That's pretty much what I did here. I just put some yellow down. Okay, and again, I do not follow the picture like exactly. It just, I don't know. I don't see point in that. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit of orange first. It's just like watercolors almost, and this has really gotten into a mess. It's kind of run together, but as you can see, it's very, very soupy. Really, really liquid. Alright, before I touch it down on the cake, I'm going to blot it just a little bit. Okay, and then I'm just going to put some touches of orange in here. And there again, I'm not really focusing on the picture too much. I've got the outline, and just not focusing on it too much. Just start putting color in. To get the really nicely painted cake, you really have got to have some patience. Okay, I've got this, I've got the yellow in, and I put a little bit of orange up here. And then I'm going to go back here and get some more of the orange, just like that. It's very runny. And blot it on the napkin, as you see how much color is on there. Okay, and I'm just going to start placing it however I think it needs to go. Obviously flowers have different colors, and I guess this probably needs to be as much of an art lesson as it does cakes, because you have to kind of know where to put the color, where to put your shadows and your highlights and stuff like that. That's how, you know, I'm getting it to look so smooth and everything on the fondant. So as you can see here, when I'm putting this in, I don't use a lot of color. I'm just kind of putting a little bit on there, and then I'm just smoothing it to blend it. And being careful not to touch these here, because they're going to be a little bit of a different color. So actually now I'm going to rinse the brush out in water, and I'm just going to blot it out. It just has water in it. And so I'm going to do this. I'm just going to blend the colors together with the water. I do not have any extra color on the brush, and I'm just blending it together. Being careful not to touch those, because I need to leave those alone for right now. So I'm just blending the colors, as you can see, the orange and the yellow. I need to blend that a little bit more over here too. And really this is the part where you can just kind of have some fun with it, and just sort of blend it, and you know, get the look that you want it to be. You know, if you want it to be more yellow, you could do that, or if you want it to be more orange, you could do that. It just depends on what you want to do. It really looks nice when you have a nice your outline, and then you go back in with your colors and you're filling them in. And there you see I got a little bit of the black, but it's okay. I'm just going to blend it on out. It really doesn't matter. And I'm just going to continue to blend it just like that. Alright, a little bit more orange. I'm going to put a little bit more dark orange up here at the top. Rinsing the brush out again. I like the way that the colors are sort of blended together there, and you can continue to do that all over the flower. Was if you can get your outline right, filling in your colors is just the fun part. Basically, it's just the fun part to do, because you don't have to be exact. You can do it how you want to. If you want your petals to be darker, you can make it darker. If you want them to be lighter, you can make it lighter. The biggest thing really is to keep your outline very crisp. You don't want indentions in the fondant. You don't want it smeared and everything. You want to have it nice and crisp, so when you start adding your colors in, it looks very nice and very realistic. That's what I think everybody likes about this, is that it looks so realistic, and it just looks very clean, because you're being very, very careful to keep your surface. You want to be real careful so you don't have smudges, because it would look really sloppy if I had this pretty flower and you have the nice outline, and then you have little smudges all over the place. That really would be not good. So you really want to just keep it clean. I'm going to just add a little bit more yellow in here because I like to blend that in a little bit more as I'm coming over on this petal. Just like this. And I'm not even adding any more color. I'm just blending in what I've got on my brush. That's what I'm doing here. Just blending it in. And really, you can also get a piece of fondant and roll it out and just practice it on the counter without it even being on a cake. That way you don't have to try to worry about it if it's going to mess it up. That way you can practice doing this and not worry so much about it. Like I said before though, it's I do have the little instructions on doing the projector that I put together. That's much cheaper than the Pico or the Copycat projectors. Alright, here is, we're almost done with it. I'm taking a little bit of black on the brush. I'm going to go in, I'm going to just get in here and get a little bit of the shadow that these are making inside the flower. It's important to get your shadows, your highlights, and your darks when you're doing these, because that makes it look a little bit more realistic. I'm actually going to leave these just like this without any color on them, and as you can see, that black right there bled just a little bit. I'm just going to soften it up, blend it out. Pretty forgiving. Here's another little mark that's not supposed to be there, so I'm going to wet it. Go back in with a napkin. It's a little spot and just wipe it out. Just like that. It really is pretty easy to do. One thing about this that really makes it really pop is when you put your shadows in there. So if you want to make it look more like it's 3D or something, you know, you can put shadows. Like, for instance, I'm just going to put a little shadow along this because obviously this would leave a little shadow here. You'd have to kind of study it a little bit to see it, but it would have a little shadow there. And which I think that's a little bit dark, so I'm going to just blot it just a little bit like that, and it comes off, and there you go. There's lots of other little tricks also that you can do. You know, like the one I did with the bird's nest on the top. I did a lot of the little the straw coming out of the nest. And then beside the straw, I did a shadow there to make it look like it's really there. There's lots of those kind of tricks that you can do to make it look like it's really here. Like if you wanted to, you know, I could make, you know, a shadow here along this right here, or I could put a shadow right here where this little, I don't want it very dark, where this little piece is hanging over. You could have a little shadow there. That would run down like this, so it looks like it's sort of laying there. You can kind of see how that would sort of make a shadow. Just want to spread it out a little bit. Shadows are not always the same size, obviously. They're usually off size anyway. And then if you wanted to make this kind of look like it's laying over on the cake right here, you're going to get a lot of, you're going to get the black and you're going to get it real watery. And then you're going to blot it on the napkin. You really do want this to be very light, so that when you do a shadow, like, if you want to do a little shadow here, that would go for this little flower petal. Actually, I'm going to rinse that out a little bit. I want it even lighter. You just kind of want to blend. You want to just have a very light kind of color of the gray, sort of gray coming off of that. It's like a shadow. And so it makes it look like it is actually laying over here on the cake, or it's sort of folded over, but it's really not. Get a little bit more. You definitely don't want it to be very dark. See, this is as dark as you need it to be. And I'm getting very, very watered down colors here, and then I would come out with another shadow here. Maybe come around and just sort of fill it in. And that's a little dark, so I'm going to rinse the brush out again, and we'll come back just pulling these colors, because the shadows are not dark most of the time on this kind of thing, especially if it's on something that's white. You're not going to have a really dark shadow. So you just want to paint it in there, and it makes it look like it's sort of like it's 3D. And shadows are most often distorted, and it's not exactly the shape. See here, you can see the shadow. There's a shadow here. I might come out and make a couple little shadows up here where the little stamen is, just to make it look like it's sort of, just 3D looking. So you can put a little shadow there, put a little shadow off of this one, like that. So it makes it look like it's more realistic.